Welcome to another episode of Talking Toku, Boston and Bellingham's only podcast about Godzilla, Gamera, Ultraman, and all their kaiju friends. I am your host, David Scrivani.
I'm Brian.
He sure is Brian. That's it's his number one catchphrase. He says it every morning.
That's my name.
Yeah. So we talked about it on the last episode, and it's come to fruition. So some, God forbid something we talk about on previous episodes actually comes to fruition. But we're talking about Pacific Rim Uprising today, everyone.
God help us.
I should preface this. Obviously, we're going to talk about the news before we get into the actual discussion. But I should preface this by saying, when we watched the movie, Brian and I got on Discord to watch together. And we were, in fact, inebriated during the viewing. So,
yep.
If any of our discussion seems kind of, not all there, it's because we were not all there when we were watching.
You know what? I actually remember a good amount of what happened.
Really? That is surprising because I sure don't.
I do have some absolutely insane notes.
I am very excited to hear what your notes are because I remember you told me about them as you were taking them, but I couldn't tell you a single goddamn note you took at the time because I was drunk and I don't remember.
There are only like 13 of them, but yeah. They get weirder.
I think a big part of that was I seem to recall you telling me, oh, I forgot I was taking notes like near the end of the movie.
Yeah.
So
there's not a lot of them, but some of them I don't know what I was thinking.
I'm very excited to find out. But before that, we have a decent amount of news to get into. So, Brian, do you want to take this one or do you want me to take it? It's up to you. I don't really care.
I'll take it.
You'll take it? Okay, go for it.
I'll take it. All right. A new Godzilla attraction is on the horizon. There appears to be a Godzilla-themed escape room coming to the city of Atami in the... How do you say that?
Shizuoka
Prefecture of Japan. While this is cool in its own right, the interesting thing is that the story of the escape room appears to act as a sequel of sorts to King Kong vs. Godzilla. The translated synopsis of realdgame.jp reads, 1962, Godzilla, a large monster who fought against King Kong and sank into the Sea of Atami Bay Resort. I can't say that. Korakuen.
There you go.
Yeah, which opened 3 years later. A researcher who received a secret order from the government was constructing an ecological survey of Godzilla. The investigation was discontinued 30 years ago, but as a researcher, you head to Atami after receiving a report that the seawater temperature has risen abnormally. It's not so abnormal nowadays, is it? As you read through the newly discovered research materials of the time and examine the traces of Godzilla, you will strongly feel the disturbing signs of Godzilla's appearance, and that premonition eventually develops into a fierce battle involving the whole of Atami. An incident that occurs in the sea, a forgotten laboratory somewhere in the hotel, and now the mysterious material left by the late doctor. Is the appearance of Godzilla inevitable anymore? Can you really protect Atami from Godzilla? No, Japan. That sounds pretty interesting.
It does. I've never actually no. I have done an escape room, but it was a long time ago. Like before escape, it was in 2004. So that was well before escape rooms were like big. So I've never done one since. I'm sure they've their technology has been improved since then. But I mean. It sounds pretty cool. A Godzilla escape room. I mean, it's in Japan, so we're probably not going to do it anytime soon. But it's so cool that it's a thing.
Is this the first Godzilla escape room?
I believe so.
Okay. I mean, I would have bet money that there's been Godzilla escape rooms before, but
I have no idea.
Pretty cool. I've never once done an escape room.
Yeah, I did. I did it for
because
my birthday back in 2004, and that was, I think, before you and I knew each other. So that's probably why you didn't do it.
probably. I'm also a giant coward, so
Oh, that's all. That's fair.
so I don't know, but I feel like maybe this would be fun to do.
Yeah.
Maybe
I mean, again,
if
we're not going to
opportunity
Japan anytime
arises.
soon. So.
No, they are lifting their travel
Oh,
restrictions.
yeah,
So,
okay.
and I read somewhere that like to make up for like lost money in industry, they'll require travelers to like eat a bunch of sushi
Oh,
or some
I don't
shit.
see any problem with that. I mean,
I don't see that either, and it could have very well been like a meme like article, but
hmm,
if it isn't, I think it's time because you get a lot of free sushi,
yeah.
and
I mean,
sushi's
please
good.
come to our country and eat our food. I see no issue with that. That seems like a win-win situation to me.
It's true.
But
I would be down. Give me
yeah,
sushi.
yeah. No, it's interesting that they're making it a sequel to an older film because I feel like they've kind of moved away from making things sequels to older films. You
They're
know,
trying to get that the
nostalgia
Godzilla
bait.
versus Kong.
That's
No,
true.
for
Yeah.
like as the new one. They're like all right, well, we don't want to do MonsterVerse because we want, our thing.
True.
But we want to like maybe capitalize on the stuff people know.
Hmm. Maybe. I guess we'll just have to fly to Japan and find out and see how it is.
Yeah, we'll have to ask the employees.
Yeah.
Hello, person who definitely only works here at minimum
Yeah.
wage. Can you please tell me about the
Tell me
inception of this?
everything you know about this place.
Just turns into a like a fucking interrogation.
Yeah. The guy just is like giving us the most deadpan stare. He has no idea what the fuck we're talking about. Wouldn't surprise
Probably
me.
has no idea what we're fucking saying.
No, probably not, because I don't speak Japanese. You don't speak Japanese. So,
I doubly don't speak
yeah,
Japanese.
you can barely pronounce Japanese words.
It's a
Anyways,
hit or miss for me.
moving on. Some less good news. The Tokusatsu world has unfortunately had another death. Suit maker Nobuyuki Yasamaru has passed away at the age of 87. There's no word as to what the cause of death was, but Yasamaru is responsible for creating some of Toho's most iconic monsters, having built suits for King Kong Escapes, Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla, and The Return of Godzilla. But he first joined Toho in the early 1960s. He worked on films like Mothra, Gorath, and The War of the Gargantuas. But seriously, this guy was a legend. You know, the Showa Mechagodzilla that both Brian and I love so much literally would not exist without Yasumaru. He's the one who designed the monster suit. And same thing with characters like Gorosaurus, Kamacuras, Hedorah, Gigan, or even the 1984 version of Godzilla. You know, so we have this one guy to thank for some of those iconic looks. So, rest in peace, Nobuyuki Yasumaru. It's a shame, but
rest in peace. Yeah, I mean we've probably spent. I don't know how much time we've spent, but we've spent a lot of time on this podcast alone talking about a lot of his work.
Yeah, Mechagodzilla. Like, we had a whole episode on Mechagodzilla.
Yeah, we had an entire episode of Mechagodzilla where like half of it was talking about how much we love the original design.
Exactly.
So, and then even during our Godzilla versus Gigan 50th
50th, yeah.
50th? Yeah, 50th anniversary. We spent a huge amount of time talking about how much we love the look of Gigan in that movie. So, yeah, I mean, it's a shame, but I mean, his work is gonna live on.
Absolutely.
People fucking love those designs, and they will not shut up about it.
It's true, and you know what? I wouldn't have any other way. They're good designs.
Same.
They should be not shutting up about it. God damn it.
Yeah, I mean, people live on through their work.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
The experiences they provide to people through their work, and the thing that they brought into the world. And he brought in some fucking awesome shit. So
he sure did.
I think rest well deserved.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, third story I can count. while it was leaked a few months ago, we finally have an announcement on the next entry in the Ultra franchise. A trailer for Ultraman Decker, which looks like it will definitely follow Trigger in being a celebration of Ultraman Dyna's 25th anniversary, has been released, confirming an air date of July 9th, 2022. Once again, we don't have any confirmation that it will be available on Super Eye Productions' YouTube channel, but considering the last two series were, I think it's safe to say that it will be. Look forward to an episode on it in a little less than a year, probably. Nice dig at me.
I mean that by it's gonna take a year for the show to finish, Brian. It's not a dig at you taking too long to watch it. I mean the episode we did for Trigger is a little, it was only fairly recently.
Oh, that's true.
I was not trying to diss you. I'm sorry.
No, I mean I took it that way.
You sure did.
Apologize more, please.
No, because it's not my fault that you took it the wrong way, Brian.
Fair enough. Okay, well, I apologize for making you apologize for something
there
that
we
you
go.
didn't mean.
There we go.
Okay.
Everything's all right.
Yeah, it'll probably be on the YouTube channel. Like, if they've had a history of doing that.
Exactly.
I don't see why not, unless they try to do the thing that everyone else does and make their own streaming service that makes you pay money.
I mean, they have their own streaming service, but it's entirely free. And by that, I mean, I think everything just takes you to YouTube links, basically.
Oh,
so
that's kind of funny.
Yeah, I haven't looked into it. It's a Ultraman Connection, which is also where Ultraman Trigger episode Z is, and I still have yet to watch that. Every time I see anything about Ultraman, I'm like, I should probably watch episode Z, and then I never do. Maybe someday. I mean, I heard it was like kind of painfully average, but like that was Trigger as a series, so that's nothing new.
I mean, if we can get through Trigger, I'm pretty sure we can get through most things.
Yeah, that's true.
If we got through the topic of today,
I was about to say.
Yeah.
But yeah, Brian, should we do a full episode on episode Z, or just save that for a future? What new cool thing have you been checking out recently?
Maybe we can. I don't think we need to make an entire episode on it,
because it's a feature film. But if the one feature film of Ultraman I've seen is anything to go on, which is the Orb film, it's like only an hour long.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think so.
Yeah, all right.
But I mean, you never know. Maybe we watch it and it's worth talking about for a while. But
I don't foresee that being the case. So
I mean, like, look at our episode on Ultraman Trigger. It was one of our shortest.
It really was.
Episodes.
We had very little to say about the show
and
itself.
It was 25 episodes long.
I know.
And we had nothing. We had nothing to say about it.
Yeah, I don't think Trigger's
the tagline of that whole episode was, "It definitely was a show."
It exists. You can say that.
It's definitely there.
All right. Anyways, so maybe we'll talk about episode Z in some form in the future, but we'll definitely do an episode on Ultraman Decker when it finishes up. Rest assured. In addition to Ultraman and Pacific Rim: The Black, Netflix is further expanding its kaiju repertoire with a film from Big Hero 6 and Moana director Chris Williams. The Sea Beast follows Jacob Holland, a famous monster hunter, voiced by the one and only Carl Urban, as he discovers a stowaway on a ship, Maisie Brumble, voiced by Zaris Angel Hator. I hope I pronounced her name correctly, and works together with her to navigate monster-infested waters. I think, personally, it looks goddamn adorable, and I cannot wait to see it. It will be on Netflix on July 8th. Brian, would you want to do an episode on this? You haven't seen the trailer probably, but that's okay. But I would love to do an episode on it regardless.
I mean, if you want to, I'd be down.
We need more, I guess I was about to say we need more kid-friendly kaiju stuff, but kaiju stuff is generally aimed toward kids. So that's kind of a...
I was gonna say, typically, I mean, let's be real. Most kaiju stuff is aimed towards kids.
Yeah, that's. So
I think the outliers aren't
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the thing is, I feel like something like Ultraman very clearly, aimed toward kids. But like you see
Yeah.
something like the Sea Beast or Rumble, which I still have not seen. Like those, it's a very different level. And I guess it's probably just like a cultural thing. Like this is clearly like Rumble and the Sea Beast is going to be seen by a much wider audience than something like Ultraman would be. But
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, I'm not smart enough to really explain that that
Nor am
cultural
I. We're
divide.
just, hey, you know what? We never claimed to be smart on that shit. So
Exactly. We never claimed to be smart. Period. So
you're not here to go to school.
exactly.
No, we're not here to
and
teach you
if you
things.
are like, I don't know why you decided to. That was a pretty piss poor idea on your part. But whatever.
Honestly, idiot.
But yeah, it's a cool anime. We need more animated kaiju stuff in general, I will say. But you know what? If we're getting Carl goddamn Urban in a kaiju movie, that's all you need to tell me. That's all you need to tell me to sell me on this movie because I goddamn love Carl Urban.
I was gonna say, I mean, you sold me on it when you mentioned Carl Urban was
Yeah,
in it.
exactly.
So,
I love that guy.
hmm.
Uh,
Okay. Well, next story.
it's probably my favorite story of this week, honestly.
Did you want to read it?
No. Go for it, Brian. It's all you.
Okay. It's not entirely tokusatsu related, but it's definitely adjacent. That's my favorite word. Um, we finally have confirmation for when general audiences will be able to see legendary VFX supervisor Phil Tippett's new film, Mad God. For anyone unfamiliar with Tippett's work, no, you're not. If you've seen the original Star Wars trilogy, you know his work. If you've seen Indiana Jones and Temple of Doom, you know his work. If you've seen the first two RoboCop films, Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, Willow, and probably most famously, Jurassic Park, you know his work. Hell, if you've seen any of the Twilight films aside from the first, you've seen Phil Tippett's work. That can't be true.
It is true. I looked it up. He worked on every single Twilight film except for the first one.
Oh my god. Okay. Mad God is the result of over 30 years of filming, having initially started production on it during RoboCop 2. Good movie. I could not tell you what the film is about because the trailer just looks like a terrible, horrifying fever dream in stop motion. But horror streaming service Shudder has announced that they have locked down exclusive streaming rights to the film, and it be available there. And wait, what?
I
And
probably
it be available
I
there?
probably meant to type it will be.
It will be available there, as well as getting a limited theater run on June 16th. All the more reason to get Shudder. I still have not subscribed to it, but I have heard that it is very much worth it if you like horror.
Yeah, I kind of mooch off my friend's account because personally, there's not enough on there for me to like justify paying a monthly fee for it. But there's good stuff on there for sure. And the fact that
I've heard that it's good if you're like an enthusiast who will watch anything and everything.
yeah, and like that's I'm picky. I'm an enthusiast, but I'm picky. If that makes any sort of sense.
Yeah.
But regardless, the fact that Mad God they got the rights to Mad God, that's huge because Mad God looks incredible, and I've been wondering when we were going to be able to get to see it, and now we know, and I'm pumped because, like I
So
said,
has it been like a side project of his that he's just worked on
pretty much
occasionally, or
it was a side project. So after I think when I looked into it a little bit when I was typing up the blurb for the news. He was working on it. He started working on it during RoboCop 2, and then once after he did Jurassic Park, which is not stop motion, it's CGI and animatronics. He kind of was like, "Oh, I guess stop motion is kind of not a big thing anymore." But I guess people kind of like pushed him to keep working on it. And then a couple years ago, there was a Kickstarter, I think, and it like made a ton of money on it. So he finally finished it. I believe. Let me just do a little bit of research. Phil Tippett's Mad God. I will read off this little blurb because it's very short. Mad God is a fully practical stop-motion film set in a Milton-esque world of monsters, mad scientists, and war pigs. In 1987, legendary visual effects and stop-motion craftsman Phil Tippett embarked on an ambitious personal project, fabricating and animating a darkly surreal world in which the creatures and nightmares of his imagination can roam free. Phil produced dozens of environments and hundreds of puppets for the project, filling notebook after notebook with thousands of detailed sketches and storyboards. Decades after the success of Tippett's studio forced production into stasis, a group of animators at Tippett Studio came upon boxes of shelved props and puppets. After reviewing the original footage, they convinced Phil to resurrect the project. The small group began volunteering their weekends to Mad God, and before long it had snowballed into a crew of more than 60 artists. A wildly successful Kickstarter campaign provided funding for the materials and equipment. Each piece of Mad God is handcrafted, independent, and created from the heart. Sometimes that heart is bursting with love for the craft, while other times it's macabre, punctured, and bleeding. Okay? Mad God is a mature film that crafted from techniques and technologies that span the history of cinema and the career of a true animation mastermind. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
That the definition of a passion project.
It sure is.
Like, holy shit. God.
Yeah.
Well, now I'm excited about it.
I'm pretty pumped.
I've only heard like occasional things about it. Like I've heard the name and I've never seen like the trailer or anything.
Yeah, I saw the trailer when it came out last year, and I'm like, wow, I don't know what the hell is going on, but it looks terrifying and incredible. So, yeah, I don't know if we'll do a review for it because it's I mean, it's all practical effects, obviously, but it's not really tokusatsu. We'll see. I don't know. I guess it depends on what is in like the content of the film, I suppose.
Yeah. We'll just have to see.
Yeah, I guess so. Regardless,
we'll just have to watch it.
Yeah. But yeah, regardless, we might talk about it on like shortly, like the what new thing have you been checking out? But anyways, finally, we have a little bit of an update on Apple TV Plus's upcoming MonsterVerse show. Matt Shakman, who directed the entirety of the Disney Plus Marvel Cinematic Universe series WandaVision, will be helming the show. While it's unclear if he'll be directing all episodes like he did with WandaVision or just a handful, but I think we're in good hands. WandaVision, despite not quite sticking the landing at the end, I think was a pretty good show all in all. So I think you'll be very interested to see what Shakman does with Gajiller himself. I don't know.
I'm like after watching all of WandaVision, like I was a little bit more like shaky on it. I don't know. We'll see.
I think it's really good just up until the end, and then it just kind of falls. But again,
I think a lot of WandaVision was good, but I think that there was a lot of stuff that annoyed me about it. I'm not gonna get into it, but yeah, the ending was bad. But I don't know. I think that the show did like family stuff pretty well.
Yeah, and that is what they're going for in the MonsterVerse show, I believe.
So as long as they just stick the landing and maybe not include obnoxious characters, we're good.
What if he comes back, Brian?
Don't fucking talk to me.
What if he comes back?
Don't talk to me. I don't want to hear about it.
It'll be his origin story because he wasn't in 2014.
No.
His origin story, Brian.
MonsterVerse
Origins, Rick Stanton.
I think I'm gonna be honest. If that happens, I am never watching another Godzilla movie again. That's it. I give up. I'm no longer a kaiju fan.
No. Who's gonna host the show with me, Brian?
I don't know. You'll have to get someone else.
Oh no, that's not good.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm done. I'll officially retire.
Okay. All right. Jesus Christ. That about does it for the news. I guess it's time to talk about Pacific Rim Uprising, huh?
Yeah, it is.
Oh boy.
And you know what, audience? I honestly don't know why we didn't cover the original before we covered this one, but here we are.
Literally, I think I said it like at least twice or three times during our viewing, and I was like, man, really wish I could be watching the first one right now.
Yep.
And here's the
Very
thing.
true.
Here's the thing. Like the movie's bad, yeah, but it's not like it's the worst kind of bad in that it's just fucking boring. Like holy
It was
shit,
boring.
it was so boring. And I don't remember being
Yeah.
that bored when we first saw it in theaters. Do you?
I was pretty bored.
Okay.
I do remember being pretty bored. But let me go over the
Yeah.
the
Go
plot.
for it. Go for it.
Let me just give a little plot synopsis for anyone who hasn't seen Pacific Rim Uprising. Okay. So I think I have the IMDb open here.
Okay.
I'm not gonna read it. I'm only here for like very specific details.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently this movie takes place in 2035, something that I didn't even know. But hey, cool. And that's 10 years after the original, so I guess 1 year from now we might have kaiju coming up from the ocean.
Well, didn't we determine like a while ago was the first kaiju in the original Pacific Rim? I was like in 2015, 2016 or something.
Oh yeah, that's right. Oh, I guess I'm late then. Whatever. Okay. Anyways, so basically the plot of this movie is that you have Stacker Pentecost's son, and this son that we've never heard about
No.
at all. And he's the main character, and he is a fuckboy, which is a note in my movie.
Yep, I remember you taking that note.
I
heard you told me this is my first note.
Yeah. So, my first note on that is movie tries to subvert expectations by making the main character a fuckboy. Yeah. So, this movie, humanity won, whatever, like kaiju are dead, and like there's all these like exclusion zones and whatever of like people doing like crime and shit, and you're not allowed to build Jaegers, and you got Stacker Pentecost's son that we've never heard about for some reason, and he's a shady guy, and he finds this girl who made a Jaeger, and then they get into trouble, and then for some reason they don't. They almost get killed and stomped on by a big Jaeger.
Yeah. So the girl that Jake finds, Amara, she's building her own Jaeger called Scrapper, which is really neat. And then another Jaeger, like an official Jaeger, November Ajax, is like, hey, that's an unregistered Jaeger. You guys are going to fucking jail. And Amara's like, haha. No, I'm not. And they try to outrun November Ajax, and they get into a chase, and Ajax is like actively trying to crush Scrapper, and actively trying to kill Jake and Amara. They're law enforcement. I mean, I guess that's a whole other issue that I'm not gonna get into. But
yeah,
I guess
you're not here for school.
But I guess that's a little more realistic than I initially thought, is all I'll say. But yeah, they're like going out of their way to just annihilate them, and it's like, what are you guys doing?
Yep. Anyway, so they get arrested, and then like how all arrests go, they take these criminals back to their base and then employ them.
Also, Amara,
Like-
I assume Amara is like a minor, right? She has to be.
Yeah.
There's no way she's like older than 16.
She's definitely a child soldier.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So that happens, and then honestly, the movie kind of just is at a standstill until the end. Nothing really happens.
Like I remember, I mean, obviously we there's the whole thing with Mako, which we'll get into, but like after that, I could not fucking tell you what happens up until the end.
The very basic of what happens in this movie is that you got Jake is the dude.
I'd like to point out, like the first movie had some goofy names, but like they were like the cool kind of goofy, like fucking Raleigh Beckett, Stacker Pentecost, Hannibal Chow, Chuck
Yep.
Hansen. That one's kind of a little normal, but like
Eh.
Jake. What a cool name for your protagonist.
You go from a Stacker Pentecost
yeah.
to Jake Pentecost.
It's just lame. It's just a downgrade. And I mean, no disrespect to anyone named Jake. I have a couple of friends named Jake, but like Jake Pentecost from Stacker Pentecost. Like, come on.
Yeah. All right. Well, let me finish my little.
Yeah. Sorry.
So basically, this movie, as soon as they end up on the base, it is basically Jake and Amara going through like training, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And Jake is a piece of shit.
Mm-hmm.
He is like the complete opposite of his dad.
I mean, that is kind of the point, I suppose.
Yeah, but it's not fun to watch.
It's not.
And then you got fucking Scott Eastwood as like the commander guy.
Yeah, who I'm sorry. I know, you know, he's probably only in the film industry because of nepotism, because his father is Clint Eastwood, but like, yep. God, that guy has no charisma whatsoever.
Yeah, I think I remember.
Hold up.
What?
On Scott Eastwood's Wikipedia page, under the career tab, Eastwood began his career by using his given last name to avoid nepotism. So his birth name is Scott Reeves.
What?
So
what?
You wanted to avoid nepotism, but then you went with Eastwood, which is not even your legal name. The fuck?
All right.
Point
well,
is, Scott
anyways,
Eastwood's a shitty actor. And
yeah,
I'm not sorry.
I mean, all the acting in this was pretty bad.
Yeah.
So, anyways, like they do their training, whatever, and then for some reason they put Jake in a Jaeger with fucking Nate or whoever Scott Eastwood. Scott Eastwood plays the character Nate Lambert, which is another boring name. Mm-hmm. They're all boring, but
yep.
So it's really just training. Like that's the whole thing. Like there's like all this dumb drama between a bunch of the cadets and shit. These cadets that you barely get to know at all.
But Brian, don't you love your favorite character? Hold on.
Well, I remember that when we were watching it and we noticed that the Russian lady had the exact same haircut as the Russian lady from the first movie.
Yes.
And I was like, why?
She also looks very much like, ironically, going back to WandaVision, she looks very much like a bargain bin Elizabeth Olsen. And the fact that she's doing a Russian accent is like, oh, she's just doing Elizabeth Olsen in the first in Avengers: Age of Ultron, basically.
It was not a very convincing Russian accent.
No, apparently she's Ukrainian, so maybe she.
Wow, that's bad timing. Holy shit!
I looked up a picture. She looks even more like Elizabeth Olsen in this picture. My God. Anyways.
Whatever. And then you get to a part of the movie where they're in a Jaeger, like fucking guarding something, and then you have the only cool Jaeger design, Obsidian Fury, come out of the water and like attacks the city, and it shoots down Mako Mori's helicopter, and instead of getting saved, she fucking dies, which is the biggest crime that this movie commits.
Mako Mori was like the highlight of the first film.
I agree.
You kill her off at the beginning of this one, and it's like, oh, cool. And
listen,
like, I mean,
she wasn't even in this movie very much.
No,
to begin with,
she was in this movie to provide exposition.
Yeah, she was an exposition device in this movie, but I still cared about her because I cared about her character in the first movie.
And it's like, not to mention the fact that, killing off like the one female character from the last movie, that's a whole nother issue. We're not talking about sexism in fucking Hollywood, because that's been talked about to death, but it's still pretty shitty regardless.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a fucking shame, and it was so shitty.
Handled
And
very poorly.
one of my one of my notes was they did Mako so dirty in this. So yeah. Oh, and I even put a period at the end of there, which means I was serious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah,
And
after
then
that, after
you
Mako's death, that's where I tuned the fuck out
checked out.
until the end of the movie. I'm looking at the Wikipedia synopsis here, and yeah, there's the thing where Obsidian Fury is actually a kaiju hybrid, like they're using a kaiju brain to pilot it, which is a lot less interesting than, we talked about this during our viewing. It would have been a lot more interesting if it was like terrorists piloting it, because they established that there's, unregistered Jaegers out in the world.
Well, I even said that I said while we were watching it, I said they like built up the grounds to have like bad people piloting Jaegers.
Exactly.
Because like that was the main plot point of like the beginning of the movie. It was like you have this fucking idiot child with an unregistered Jaeger, but what happens if you make the Jaeger really big and like well funded by like a terrorist organization?
Yeah,
that's probably
do we ever even figure out who built Obsidian Fury?
No, because
hold on,
we'll get to that.
Okay, no. It was Newt. It was Newt. I don't remember that, but apparently it was Newt.
Okay, so I'm gonna get into that. So, all the while this bullshit with all the pilots and whatever was going on, you have Newt, who in my notes here, Newt is bad because he has a sex with the kaiju brain.
Yes.
So apparently he's like brainwashed, corrupted.
Yeah.
I don't even know what the word is, but basically he's a slave to this kaiju brain and does all this shit. And then you have this other company, I don't remember the name of it, making these Jaeger drones instead of the person piloted ones. And basically what Newt is doing somehow is implanting kaiju brains, material, whatever, into these drones without anybody at all fucking noticing, even though these things are being mass manufactured in a gigantic factory with thousands of workers.
Mm-hmm.
No one noticed apparently. And then in the movie you see Newt with this Chinese lady. Her name is
Xiao Liwen.
Yes. So she is. In my notes I said she is used as a red herring because she's like super bossy and mean, and it turns out that she was not super bossy and mean, and she had literally no idea about any of this. Even though it was like her company that made these drones. It doesn't make any fucking sense how any of this happens.
No,
and it feels like
really.
They had maybe a different idea, and then they just decided, fuck it. It doesn't matter. What is continuity? It doesn't. It's a myth.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, that's the main threat of this movie. Drones that literally make no sense. And Obsidian Fury, which was the coolest thing in this movie, by far, dies within like 30 minutes.
Yeah, and then it becomes pretty much a non-threat. It's almost like that's also a red herring in the film.
Yeah, in a better movie, I think Obsidian Fury, who killed Mako, would have been at least if you kept the plot point of Obsidian Fury killing Mako, which I fundamentally disagree with. Shouldn't Obsidian Fury maybe like be the main antagonist?
You would think, yes.
In a better movie, that's what the main antagonist would be.
Yeah.
Because it killed the one person anybody gives a shit about in this movie. Yeah, but that the end of the climax of this movie is that the Jaeger drones open a bunch of portals, we don't know how, and a bunch of kaiju get out, and there's like 3 of them. And they completely changed kaiju motivation. I don't even remember what.
Well, in the first movie, it's that they're just trying to level the cities to terraform.
Yeah.
But in this movie, all of a sudden, they want to activate the Ring of Fire by detonating Mount Fuji, which I don't think is part of the Ring of Fire.
It's not.
So that it'll just cause a chain of volcanic eruptions and destroy the world. Which, how is that the case? Because
they just wanted to move in on Earth, not destroy it.
Yeah, but the thing is, if that's their true goal, why did the first kaiju attack San Francisco?
Yeah, I don't know.
Why is there any kaiju attacks anywhere else on the Earth if their true goal is to detonate Mount Fuji? Shouldn't everything have been in Japan?
Or even like Hawaii?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or
like any other fucking island. It doesn't make sense. It's a really bad retcon, and the only reason it's there is to give any kind of reason for it taking place in Japan.
Yeah.
Which you don't need a reason for it to take place in Japan.
You really don't.
The original reasoning was good enough. It would have served. Yeah. So, end of the movie, these kaiju, they all turn into like one big kaiju, and then I don't know what was a scrapper like yeets itself and cuts it in half or some shit.
No,
I don't know. Movie sucks.
What's her name? Lee Wen used a scrapper to give Gypsy Avenger, which we'll get into the Jaegers and kaiju because they're not great.
Yeah. No, they're not.
She welds a big rocket to Gypsy's hand. And
not back. Hand.
Yeah, I don't know why. But she welds it to Gypsy's hand. They shoot off into the atmosphere and just dive bomb the mega kaiju before it can get to the Mount Fuji, and that kills it, I guess.
It cuts it in half.
Yeah.
Apparently. Yeah. So this movie was not good.
No. Not really.
If you can tell by our complete unenthusiastic.
I don't know if we've talked. I don't know if we've been more unenthusiastic about anything in the past.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'll be real with you. This movie was fun to watch drunk and talk over.
Oh, absolutely.
If you try to watch it seriously, sober, and trying to enjoy it, you won't.
Yeah. We should also mention the as the Weekly Planet so succinctly puts it, the game is on ending scene where they're trying so hard to set up a sequel, but the movie's just so bad and it's clearly not going to happen because at the end, they've captured Newt and Newt's like, oh, the precursors are going to come get you. And Jake's like, no, we're coming for them. And then cut to credits and cool music and stuff like that. And it's like, wow, that was in 2018. Haven't seen a sequel since, unless you count The Black, which I'm not going to count because it's not a big Hollywood production. So I'm not counting The Black as a sequel.
Yep. Yeah, this, it's not getting a sequel.
And
I'm pretty sure this movie killed those chances.
Yes. In the future tab on Wikipedia, as of January 2021, Del Toro has, quote, no plans to return for a third installment.
I don't blame him.
Yeah, no. I do wonder whether or not he had any how much input he had on The Black. But I don't know.
That's a good question.
I'll have to look into that. I don't know. That's not important right now, though.
Well, I think we should get into. Well, let me read over some of my
go for it.
I want
more notes.
So I will read them. I'll read them all.
All right, just for reading. Okay.
Why not? There's 13 of them, and they're not very long.
Yeah.
So my first one, as I read earlier, movie tries to subvert expectations by making the main character a fuckboy. Very true.
Mm-hmm. And that gets kind of tossed out too.
Second one, how does Pentecost never once talk about his son in the original PR, especially since Mako was his adopted surrogate daughter?
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be kind of important to at least mention? And then third, they did Mako so dirty. Obsidian Fury, or fourth, Obsidian Fury is so cool, and it is literally the only cool part of this movie, but they kill it off so fast. Yeah. And it also could have been a lot cooler. Fifth, the Jaeger design is so boring, it completely misses what made the original design so cool in the first place. I think you and I are going to talk about that soon. Six, Jaeger kaiju drones do actually kind of look cool.
I think I was the one who brought that up initially.
Yeah, well, because they look a lot like Apex from the Black.
Well, I think that was the point, because wasn't Apex a kaiju drone or a Jaeger drone?
Yeah, he was. And Apex does look cooler than the base drones from this movie, but they do look neat. Seventh note is just Y Mount Fuji, but Y is spelled just the letter Y.
Of course.
8, Trollolol meme.
Oh yeah, we got to talk about that.
Yep. 9, Newt is bad because he has sex with kaiju brain. 10, Chinese lady is a red herring. I don't know why I put that down. Maybe because I thought I wouldn't remember it.
I don't know.
11, weird kaiju sperm that made all the kaiju into one. Okay. Oh, this is my favorite one.
Okay.
12, big kaiju uses Black Panther move.
That's right. And you yelled that out on Discord when that happened too.
I did. Because they hit him a bunch, and then he got powered up, and then he did a big AoE thing, and I was like, "Hey, that's a
Black Panther." Yeah,
that's a Black Panther move. Yeah, that was so dumb. Was this was before Black Panther? Right?
They were both 2018. Or maybe was Black Panther 2019?
I don't remember. I know Black Panther came out right before.
Black Panther was. Wait, really?
What?
Black Panther actually came out before this. Only by a few months. It was February 2018. Uprising was not even a few months. It was a month.
So
Black Panther was February. Pacific Rim was March.
So this movie ripped off Black Panther.
But I mean, considering the month's difference, I doubt that. But
yeah,
we can say it did just for the funny haha.
Yes. That's my headcanon. Some guy in management was like, someone needs to add the Black Panther move. So then they overworked their animators a couple weekends.
Yeah,
add this dumb scene with the Black Panther move. And then my 13th and final note was retcon kaiju motivation, detonate Mount Fuji, question mark.
Mm-hmm.
So I was clearly confused and didn't know how to
voice it. Yeah. I will say I will defend the choice to make Newt an antagonist, because that is one of the few things that was left over from Guillermo del Toro's original treatment for a sequel. They didn't really do a good job translating that plot point. But rest assured, had del Toro actually done this instead of The Shape of Water, which Shape of Water is fantastic. I'd rather have that than. Actually, I don't know. I have no idea. I wish we could get best of both worlds and get both versions, but we don't.
I think I would, if I had to choose between a Pacific Rim sequel and Shape of Water, I would have taken The Shape of Water.
I have not seen Shape of Water since it was in theaters. I've been meaning to rewatch it.
I haven't seen it since about that time too, but I watched the original Pacific Rim recently, and I don't think you need a sequel.
Yeah, it is very much like a nice contained story.
Yeah. Honestly, I think if I could ask Del Toro any question, I'd be like, do you think Pacific Rim needs a sequel? Because sure, he had ideas for it, but he may have came to the conclusion that it didn't need it.
I don't know the background of it personally, so I really don't know. But
I don't know.
yeah, I mean, between getting The Shape of Water or a Del Toro helmed Pacific Rim 2, I would probably just take The Shape of Water. Yeah, you're right. It doesn't inherently need a sequel. It's a shame that we got the guy who directed a couple episodes of Angel, Smallville, Daredevil, and Jupiter's Legacy. Well, Jupiter's Legacy was after, but yeah, it's a shame we got that. But I mean, granted, the first season of Daredevil, which is the one he was on, is
pretty close to perfect.
It is, yeah. It's like the best season. And I thought I want to say he was the showrunner for the first season too.
He was
I'm not sure.
The executive producer on them. So,
I do.
Yeah, the entire first season, I guess.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It was Stephen Estonite serving as showrunner. So he made the first. He basically was in charge of the whole first season of Daredevil, which is the best season of Daredevil, I think.
I mean, it's also very possible. It's also very possible that it was like studio interference too.
True, but again,
it could have been that they gave him a big old checklist of bullshit, and that he also didn't understand the property.
Right.
You know, it's like I can definitely understand someone knowing how to make a Daredevil show good, but then not knowing how to do this. Like, I don't know. And then also, I think you and I were talking about it that night, but it seems like John Boyega, who plays Jake, had a couple creative inputs.
Yeah, Boyega was an executive producer on the film. And I believe one of the big things was that he didn't like in the first movie how all the Jaegers and kaiju moved slowly. He wanted them to move fast, which is completely antithetical to how, if we're going by how these things would move in real life, yes, I'm aware, Neil deGrasse Tyson, that they can't exist because, they would collapse into their own way, blah, 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 blah. That is, I don't care. They should be moving slowly because that's what worked about the first Pacific Rim, is that because they were moving so slowly, you actually felt the weight. They actually seemed, I mean, for God's sake, the original Pacific Rim was the first time I'd seen anything kaiju related when I actually went, oh, Jesus Christ, these things are enormous. Like that first scene in Pacific Rim where Knifehead rises out of the ocean, that was the first time I'd ever seen a kaiju where it's like, oh wow, that thing's enormous.
Yeah, because like it has just like so much water coming off of it.
Yeah,
like seeing like that scene where it comes up and its entire head comes out of the ocean, and you just see how much water is coming off of him. You're like, holy shit.
Yeah.
That's huge.
And you get absolutely none of that in this movie. And if that's what Boyega wanted to do, I won't exactly fault him for that. It was a creative decision on his part. That's fine. I'm just saying it was a bad creative decision.
Yeah, it was It doesn't work. I think if you wanted something like that, then maybe just do something that isn't Pacific Rim.
Yeah. And I mean, a lot of people when the trailer came out, and because we saw a lot of that in the trailer, a lot of people were just like, just watch fucking Power Rangers at that point. Which,
yep,
I don't want to like shit on Power Rangers too much, but that is more so, the more the fast paced giant monster action and stuff like that than something like Pacific Rim, because I mean even in other like tokusatsu properties, like all the effect sequences are shot with a lower frame rate to make it look like the monsters are moving slowly because they're so big. It doesn't always work, obviously. It has clearly worked better with CGI, and I really hate to say that because I'm a very staunch believer in tokusatsu, yada yada yada. But again, Pacific Rim was the first time it had really worked for me. But yeah, it's just, I don't know, man. I wish, not that having that would have made it a better movie,
No.
But
Here's what I'm gonna say. I think that something that this movie shares with another movie is that the biggest thing that fucking murders this movie is the characters.
absolutely. I mean, I could not tell you the name of a character, at least a new character, not including the ones returning from the first film. I couldn't tell you any of the names of the characters other than Jake and Amara.
I mean, we had to look at the IMDb to even remember anybody.
Literally,
And
like
if you look,
none of the
look-
cadets contribute to the plot whatsoever, aside from Jake and Amara. They are
Also,
a waste of character.
if you want a good gauge for how much they cared about these characters, like on the IMDb page, it literally just says cadet name.
Yeah,
There is no full name. It's just cadet blank.
and
Like
to
they don't care.
To be fair, the first film also suffers from that quite a bit. Like the pilots of Crimson Typhoon and what's the Russian one? Cherno Alpha. Cherno Alpha.
Yep.
Those they don't really like I couldn't tell you their names at all. They don't really have much character either. But
The movie didn't pretend like they were important.
yeah, not like they didn't pretend they were important. They were just kind of there for the
They were
action
soldiers.
sequences. But like this movie tries to make them important and falls on its face in doing so. Like I couldn't. What wasn't there was something where it's oh my god, I'm remembering it now. The Russian cadet, the one who looks like Elizabeth Olsen, the one guy is like, oh, try speaking to her in Russian. It calms her down.
Yeah.
And we were both like, what does that mean?
I was like, hearing her native language make her happy? What?
Yeah.
It's like, does English piss her off?
I don't know. Maybe.
But
Maybe
I
she
think,
maybe she's
like,
racist.
I mean, Russia, but like, yeah, this movie, the characters are so uninteresting and they just add nothing. And when you like this movie is like you have that first, like the first like action-y scene, the intro, and then you have the scene where Mako dies, and then the following scene where they go kill Obsidian Fury, and then it's literally like the rest of the movie until the end is nothing.
Yeah.
And you have, and it relies on the characters to make the rest of the movie, but the characters fucking suck, and I don't care about any of them, especially because they just killed the one that the only one I cared about.
Exactly.
See, the thing about like, the original Pacific Rim, it wasn't a perfect movie, and a lot of characters were pretty forgettable. But the thing that it did well was that it had a pretty strong, passable to strong core characters that like you either cared about a lot or you at least were interested in. Some of them were hit or miss, but at least they were like there and you could latch onto them in some capacity. In this movie, you just can't.
Yeah.
Like I didn't even remember their names. We barely even remember any of the like, interpersonal like anything. Like it just doesn't matter. None of it mattered. It was boring. I don't know
so
what
somehow
the plan was.
that also carries over to the Jaegers and kaiju, because I mentioned this when we watched it. I could tell you the name of every Jaeger and every kaiju in the first Pacific Rim.
Well, except for Cherno Alpha, apparently.
I remembered Cherno Alpha eventually. It took me 2 seconds,
I
Brian.
know.
Give me a goddamn break.
I know.
But all the Jaegers in this, the only one I can remember, aside from Scrapper and November Ajax, that I only saw November Ajax because it was in the Wikipedia article here.
Yep.
All I could remember is Gypsy Avenger.
Yeah.
Like,
Which is a terrible name.
there's Titan something.
Isn't there like one with Athena in it?
Yes.
Because the cringy girl character was like, "Oh, she's the best."
Oh yeah,
So
When they're introducing the Jaegers, they try to do the same thing that they did in the first one, where Charlie Hunnam, Raleigh Beckett is like, he's he's getting the tour from Pentecost, and Pentecost is like, oh, there's that one, killed like 60 million kaiju, and then in this one just has Mark going like, oh, I love Saber Athena, and that's all it is. That's all it is. She's like, I love that one. That one's cool. There's no there's like no gravitas towards it, you know? It's just, hey, look, big robot. That's all it is.
Hey, look at this toy.
Pretty much, cool. Yeah.
Yeah. And they all look like they're made out of fucking plastic, too.
They do. I don't know. I don't really know much about character design. In fact, I know absolutely nothing about character design. But something about it. It's just they just look too toy-like compared to the ones in the first film.
I remember when we were watching this, I made a comparison to like the newer Halo games, where I looked at the new Jaeger designs in this movie and I said, that looks like what they were trying to do with the Spartans in the newer Halo games by like making them way over designed and like futuristic. Something that like I drew a comparison to with the original Pacific Rim is that like those Jaegers looks like they were built on a budget and they have very limited money for upkeep and they're kind of just rolling with what they got.
Well, yeah, because wasn't the whole thing like
they were all like
they were all like taken out of storage. Like Cherno Alpha, I think, was like a Mark I Jaeger. It was like what I think Sacker said, the oldest in the fleet or whatever. And it looks like it, you know. But I guess that these are all newer Jaegers. I guess they would look more streamlined, but it's just it doesn't make for an interesting visual.
No, well, let me finish my comparison here I wanted to make that comparison with Halo because Halo, the original Spartan designs actually have a lot in common with the original Jaeger designs because you've played the Halo games.
I have.
Spartans, they were like a military project. Sure, it's super high tech, but like the way that UNSC stuff looks is it's pretty like kind of cobbled together. And it's still pretty like primitive and like very like militaristic. Something you could see like maybe like something nowadays, I guess. Probably not really, but they look grounded. Like original Spartans from Halo 1 through Reach, they look really grounded, like just like, you know, armor. But then you run into the new Halo games and the Spartans are just way over designed. They look like fucking Power Rangers, lame Power Rangers. And everyone hated it because it didn't fit the original Spartan design. Like it looked like shit. Like you had all these weird like spikes and handles and shit that doesn't make sense. It doesn't look like any kind of military project would ever want that because it's just stupid and it makes no sense. Same shit with these new Jaegers. Same shit. Like there's just shapes. They are designed in ways that make no sense. Like it just doesn't make sense. I don't know. That's what I was like kind of thinking while we were watching this.
Yeah.
I also wanted to go play Halo 3, but you know, whatever. Yeah.
I'll bring this up briefly, just because we're talking about the character designs and shit. And last week we talked about, you know, I had a list of potential guests I want to get on. I had a brief thought of like trying to get in contact with Hugo Martin from id Software, who's the game director for Doom Eternal, but he also was the lead character design for the original Pacific Rim. He designed all the Jaegers, and I had gotten in touch with him about getting on DCM, Doritos Connections and Mountain Dew, to talk about Doom Eternal. That fell through, obviously. I wasn't expecting it to actually happen. It was, you know,
did he actually reply to you?
I didn't get in touch with him. I got in touch with id Software's community manager, Josh, and Josh was the one who told me no. He was very respectful. He was like, sorry, but we just can't make it happen. I'm sorry. And I'm like, all right, no worries, man. But yeah, I like in the future, I would absolutely, because obviously it's a thing like Hugo probably doesn't get asked about ever, especially since joining id Software to work on Doom. Like I mean, he's mentioned Pacific Rim every so often on the Twitch streams that he was doing, playing through the entirety of Doom Eternal. But it wasn't like that. Obviously, that wasn't like the main topic of conversation. But I would love to like get Hugo on to talk about the work he did on Pacific Rim, because it's it's great character design. Like those are very memorable designs, and I would wonder if they had kept him on for Uprising, if the designs would have been better.
I bet they probably would have.
I mean, you can playing through Doom Eternal, you can definitely tell that it's his work, because the big mechs in Doom Eternal, I think they're called like the Atlans or something. They just look like a Jaeger. Like that's very clearly, that's just a Jaeger design that has a
Hold on, I just remembered something.
Yeah.
While we were watching Uprising, didn't you say that the drones looked like Samuel Hayden?
I did. I did say that, because they had the same color scheme, like that white on black, and they had like their faceplate had the blue highlight down the middle of the faceplate. So yes, maybe he did work on it. I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, he would be in the credits, right?
Yeah. Let's check Hugo Martin's IMDb. Hugo Martin, IMDb. I hope I didn't just shit all over his work right now. Nope, just looks like it was Pacific Rim and that's it.
Ooh. Wow.
Hey, he worked on Halo Wars though.
Oh, really?
Yeah, concept designer.
The first one or the second one?
The first one looks like. Yeah,
okay.
Concept designer and matte painter. Nice.
See,
good for him.
It's almost like
it all comes full circle.
It all did come full circle with my Halo comparison and then your Doom comparison.
Yeah.
And now, yeah. Wow.
That's wild. That's cool though.
I did want to mention the kaiju design. We've been talking about I guess the one other Jaeger design I wanted to mention was Obsidian Fury, which is I think the only one that we actually found to be pretty good.
Yeah, that's the only one that looked like memorable, and I think a lot of that is because of the color scheme. I love that. Well, Obsidian color scheme. It's a very striking look, and it very clearly states, "Hey, this is the bad guy." And
I also really like the fire swords.
Yes, yeah, the flaming chainsaw blades. That was very, very cool. I totally forgot that was a thing until we rewatched it.
Yeah, you and I could not, for the life of us, explain how they stayed on fire like that.
It's a suspension of disbelief and all that.
Yeah, whatever. And then I think my reason for liking it was that it looked streamlined.
Yes,
but like not like dumb streamlined like all the other Jaegers.
Mm-hmm.
Like it looks like something a military would build, maybe.
Yeah.
And the fight was pretty cool. It was, there was like, they were on the ice and shit.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, there's no. We talked about it when we were watching it. Like, there's no way that ice would have stayed solid because it was way too thin to hold up to multi-thousand-ton mechs. But
that's right, because they cut it just a little bit.
Yeah, it was like the ice had to have been like, I don't know, maybe 100 feet thick, if that.
So stupid.
Yeah. So.
Whatever.
God. Again, suspension of disbelief. Whatever. Anyways.
One other thing I wanted to mention.
Yes.
Was I remember saying this while watching it, but the pilot suits look so fucking stupid.
Yeah, one of the biggest problems that the film has, I think, is that it has absolutely none of the charm and like lived-in look that the first one had, and obviously that is due to a lack of Guillermo del Toro. Like when you watch a film that he's directed, you can very clearly tell he directed it because everything looks so goddamn real. Everything, like, we mentioned, I don't know why we mentioned it. We mentioned Crimson Peak a while ago on the show, and that's got like some of the best set design in like any movie ever. And the same goes for Pacific Rim. Like, it's incredible how real and lived in all that looks. And most of that is because it's a lot of practical effects. But everything here just looks super, super fake and just kind of toyetic. Which is a shame because the first one looks so goddamn good. And it's a shame that it's such a downgrade from that.
Well, like take, for example, like inside of like Gypsy Danger from the first movie, you have like I guess the cockpit or whatever, where you got the two pilots and they're on like the apparatus where they're like walking and shit. And then you have like the screens and whatever. And you can very much tell that a lot of it is practical, but then it's augmented with like CG for like the screens and stuff. In this movie, you can tell all of it is CG, like all of it.
Yeah.
Like in the beginning of the movie when Amara is in Scrapper, I think I pointed this out, but like it was so boring because it was literally just her, like using like fucking rollerblades.
Yeah.
With just the CG screen, and it's just like CG holograms and shit, and it was the whole thing.
And then it was
like that for all the other ones too.
I will say, looking at it, Uprising had a significantly smaller budget than the first film.
Really?
Yeah. Pacific Rim has 180 to 200 million. Uprising had 150 to 176 million.
I mean, yeah, that's a pretty big downgrade.
It is. And I think a big part of that is because the first Pacific Rim didn't do too well, at least here in the States. Like, it did incredibly overseas, but in the States I don't think it did super well.
Well, I think I mentioned this when we were watching it, but it seems like the sequel followed in the first footsteps because it didn't make a whole lot.
Yeah. Do we actually have a number on that?
I do. So the budget was 150 million estimated, maybe more or less ish. And then if we take the rule that marketing is like double that number, so 300 million, which I can believe it because there was a pretty big marketing push. I remember seeing a lot of trailers. So we're at 300 million. Gross worldwide was 290 million.
Yeah, that's not a lot.
Gross US and Canada was 59 million. So yeah. And 150 million for budget is estimated, which is usually like a conservative number. So it could have been more. Pretty not good.
No, not really. And for Pacific Rim, I'm on Box Office Mojo now. Budget says 190 mil. Worldwide made 411 mil. So, yeah, that actually did make its budget back. I mean, so did Uprising, but didn't make much more than that, basically.
No. I do remember the original Pacific Rim having a really big marketing push.
It did, yeah. That is true.
Because that was, I mean, I don't know if I'm exactly right on saying this. It's just how my memory serves, but it's kind of what started the big like kaiju craze.
No, it absolutely did.
Yeah,
because I mean, after that we talked about it a while ago on the show, and we had our talking about the future of Western kaiju or whatever. I think we determined that since Pacific Rim, we've gotten a kaiju film every year. In the States.
I definitely think it was a big catalyst in getting a lot of movies made over here.
Yeah.
But yeah, so sequel sucked.
Yeah.
Sad.
It's a damn shame.
But on the bright side, I am glad we got Pacific Rim the Black.
Yes, as am I. That's definitely one good thing that came from this.
Because I don't know if we would have gotten it without the sequel.
I don't know.
Probably maybe, but like.
Well, I feel like even before Uprising came out, there were talks of like an anime series I could be wrong about that. My memory of the timeline of that announcement being made could be off a little, but I know that like there was talk of an anime series for like it's been a long time since they first mentioned wanting to do that. So
Right.
yeah, I mean it's been in development for a long time.
Well, I mean, I'm just glad we got the show.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
the
no, so am I.
movie sucked. Like the sequel. Sorry, the sequel sucked. But the show was good. So I guess it's not all bad, and it means that the franchise still has life in it.
Mm-hmm.
But man, if the sequel was like all we got, that would have been like trash.
Yeah, it would have been not great for sure.
But we got that second season coming up, so hopefully it
Mhm.
breathes some more life and interest into the franchise. And
Yeah.
I'm good with never getting another movie, but I don't know.
If we get another movie, it's got to be by Del Toro. Otherwise, I won't care.
Yeah, same. Or maybe not with Del Toro, but maybe someone who actually gives a shit. Like as long as it's good and has actual effort put into it.
Yeah.
But I don't know how likely that is.
But yeah, that's about all I have to say on Uprising.
Well, did you want to mention the kaiju design real quick?
Forgettable.
Yeah, forgettable. I don't know what my note about the weird kaiju sperm that made all the kaiju into one note.
Because they had the weird. They don't really explain what they are. I think they're like robot stuff, and they all somehow fusion dance into one big kaiju, which is cool on paper, but not really all that cool in execution.
Oh my!
Also,
God.
the fact that they just call it the Mega Kaiju instead of giving it an actual name is lame.
It's true. Because like all the kaiju from the first movie had like super cool names.
Yeah,
like,
I could probably tell you most, if not all, of the kaiju names from the first film.
Knife Head.
Yep.
Slattern is the category 5.
Yep.
One. Oh my God. I don't remember. Otachi is the winged one, right?
Otachi, Leatherback.
Leatherback is
Axehead / Trespasser is the one in the beginning. There's Raiju.
Raiju, I remember that one. That one's like the alligator dude.
Yeah, the only one I like don't know for sure is the other one that comes out with Raiju.
The one with the 2 horns.
Yeah, that's the only one I don't really. I can never remember.
What was the one that broke the wall at the beginning where?
That is Mutavor.
Mutavor, okay.
Which is kind of a lame name, but.
Oh, isn't the crab one like Onibaba or something?
Yes.
Yeah, that's right.
And then there's one at the beginning called Karloff, and I remember they called it Karloff because it looks like Frankenstein's monster.
Okay, I can see it.
Yeah, he appears for like 2 seconds on screen, if that. But
yeah, but all those kaiju designs and all the names were like super unique and cool.
Yeah,
and they all fit in like the aesthetic of the of them, but like they were all it just didn't matter.
Yeah,
they looked stupid and you didn't even hear their names.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever. Do you want to just talk quickly about the terrible memes?
Oh God! God!
I only remember the Trollolol meme and then the salt one.
Oh my!
That was not performed.
That was. I forgot about that. I don't really care about the Salt Bay reference.
Can we talk about how he did it with
sprinkles?
With sprinkles instead?
Yeah, I guess that's kind of funny. That's kind of neat. I like that, but I would have preferred to not have it in the movie at all. But yeah, and then the Trollolol scene, which was the worst thing ever.
A whole decade too late.
Yeah, I remember I showed the clip to my DCM co-host Howard, who has never seen the movie. So I showed him the clip out of context, and his response was, "Oh."
My favorite part was that played during like the ensemble shot of all the Jaegers together flying towards the. It was just like, why? It's so out of place. You just remove triumphant music. Instead, you put the troll.
So bad.
Like,
so bad.
Whose idea was this?
I don't know.
They should be arrested.
I don't know. I don't like it. Okay,
Yeah,
I think
okay.
that's all we got to say about Uprising now.
That's it. Definitely don't watch it.
Yeah,
Don't give it your time.
I agree.
Listen to us instead.
Yeah. Yeah, let's just listen.
We did this for you.
Yeah, just listen to us on everything in general. We know what we're talking about most of the time.
Don't watch movies.
Yeah.
Let us watch them for you.
Yeah, as one of my favorite Twitter accounts loves to say, movies suck.
It's true.
Yeah, so just don't watch them.
Yeah, I don't watch it.
Just listen to podcasts about people talking about movies instead.
Yeah, sit on your bed, you lazy piece of shit.
Oh my god.
And listen.
Oh my god.
To us.
Jesus. All right. Anyways, let's move on to our last segment. What new cool kaiju thing have you been checking out right now, Brian? Is there anything you've been checking out? Other than Pacific Rim Uprising.
No.
Okay.
So.
That's
Wait,
all right.
Hold on. I have to think.
Okay.
Let me think here.
All right.
Oh.
Well, while you think, I'll talk about mine because I was dumb and didn't talk about it last time. I was too focused on talking about a fucking racist, shitty movie. I've finally, everything's come full circle. I've been playing Dawn of the Monsters, Way Forward and 13 AM Games' new kaiju beat 'em up. It fucking rocks, let me tell you. I am bad at beat 'em ups, so I can't like perform cool combos and do good at game, but I don't care. I have been having a grand old time with it. It is packed to the brim with references. Like most of the skins for the 4 playable characters, most of them are references to various tokusatsu. You know, yeah, there's references to Godzilla, there's references to Ultraman, to Mazinger Z, to Evangelion. I'm pretty sure there's one for the Toei Spider-Man. I could be wrong on that. It might just be Mazinger instead. I don't know, but still, it's good stuff. Good stuff. I highly recommend it. It's pretty cheap. I think like list price is only like $30-$40. I could be wrong about that. I got the big deluxe edition from a limited run, so I paid like $150. So yeah, on Steam it is $29.99. So that's nice and cheap, and it's a good game. I love the art style for it. That was kind of the thing that really turned me on to the game. In the first place.
I remember seeing that. I thought it was a really interesting take.
Yeah, because you and I were actually there when this game was first shown off to the public at G-Fest.
Yeah,
that was the first time they'd ever shown anything for this game. That's the first time anyone had ever heard of this game.
Exclusive trailer.
Yeah, it was really cool. And yeah, it's a lot of fun. Again, I'm not that great at beat 'em ups, which is unfortunate.
Does it have like a campaign?
Yeah. It's got a story.
Campaign. Does it have like co-op?
It's only I think it has co-op, but unless you're on PC, it's only couch co-op. So you and I would not be able to play it online unless we both got it on Steam.
You are wrong.
I'm wrong.
Because PlayStation has SharePlay that mimics.
I didn't know about that.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll have to look into that then.
I don't remember what it's called, but it doesn't even require both of us to have the game.
Oh, interesting.
You just have to have stable internet connection, which is a big if.
We will have to look into that then, because I am dumb and I need to get S+ ranks on all the missions because that's what gets you the cool skins. And again, I'm bad at beat 'em ups, so I haven't been doing very well on that. So, yeah, well, we should definitely look into that so we can both play it because that would be really, really cool, I think.
Yeah, and then we can make an entire episode on it where we talk about it.
I would love to do that. I mean, we talked about we had a video games episode, but we haven't really had an episode where we reviewed a video game like a specific game. So
True.
honestly, we could because it's an independent game, we could almost get the developers on here to talk about it. I'm sure
That would be
that's a pretty
sick.
strong possibility, I think.
Actually, completely off topic.
Yes.
Well, not really off topic.
Okay.
But more like topic adjacent.
Yes.
It has to do with the tabletop game.
Uh-huh.
My coworker told me, because him and he went to a convention or something in Las Vegas. It was like a tabletop thing. Apparently, there's a new like tabletop game that's like about like kaiju and shit. And he apparently mentioned to the developer about like that about me having a podcast
Wait,
about
what?
kaiju.
Oh my god.
And the guy was just like asked about how big our follower base was, because he totally down to
very small.
He would totally be down to do like an interview, and I said back to him, I was like, I don't know. I don't think we have that many.
It's a very small following. That's wild, though. The fact that he was down to do it, considering, assuming we had a big following. That much means we need to get a bigger following.
I know. I don't actually remember the name of this game, but I'll ask my coworker about it. And
yeah,
get
for sure.
On it.
That's wild.
This was a while ago, so I hope he remembers. But it was cool though, because the way he described it was like he had like all these like figures that were like based off of like shit from like Godzilla, Ultraman.
Oh, nice.
Like, yeah, it was super cool. So I'll try to get the info on that.
Yeah, for sure. I'd love that.
I don't know why I completely forgot to bring this up like for months. I remember being like just like taken aback by it because my coworker remembered that I had like a shitty podcast.
That's so funny.
Like,
That's so
that no one listens to.
That no one listens to. Yeah,
so good. I don't know. I mean, have you even checked the follower base recently?
I don't check the follower base, but every time I go to upload a new episode, I can see how the other episodes have done.
How are they doing?
Not good.
Oof.
Like maybe 1 or 2 listens per episode, basically.
Unsurprised.
Yeah, but that's also part of it. It's probably because I'm really terrible at advertising it.
I mean, if we both want to pay up the money.
I mean, yeah, but I'm also lazy and don't post on the social medias like whatsoever. I'm going to now that we're in year 2 of Talking Toku, I'm going to do my best to be a lot better about that.
I think maybe we should. Try and do that. Anyways, let's end this episode, because now we're talking about business strategy, and that is most definitely boring.
Yeah, but Brian, is it more or less boring than Pacific Rim Uprising?
Less.
Got him.
It's less boring. There's no question.
Exactly. All right,
but
yeah, I think that's it. I think that'll be it for this episode. I don't know what the fuck we're gonna talk about next time. Actually, hold on. It might be Ultraman, or the Black. Actually,
I would be down.
One of those comes out a week earlier. When
I think it was. I remember we talked about this last time.
Ultraman is April 14th. So I'm assuming we're going to be talking about, because that's this weekend. So I think we're going to be talking about Ultraman season 2 next time.
Okay. Sounds good. I might be dead next month on that Monday, by the way.
Oh, that's
the Monday after.
That would be the Monday after PAX.
Oh well,
we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
If anything, we can delay the episode.
It's not like the audience knows, because they're stupid and they're also non-existent.
Gee, all right.
I know.
But yeah, so look forward to an episode covering Ultraman season 2, and then shortly after that, Pacific Rim The Black season 2. Man, we're just doing a lot of reviews this month, I guess.
Yep. Lots of them. We've ran out of topics because we're unoriginal.
We'll figure something out. Don't worry. Maybe we'll actually
Yeah.
get a guest on to talk about stuff, because I really want to get another guest on, because that one guest we had was really, really cool, and I would like to get more people on.
Same.
But yeah. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Talking Toku. Like I said, I'm going to try to post a lot more on everything. I haven't posted on the Twitter in months, so that'll definitely be changing soon, hopefully. I don't even think I changed the profile picture on Twitter to the new logo. That's how long it's been. That's how long it's been.
I'll try to handle stuff on Instagram.
All right, cool.
That's the only one I have.
Yeah. But yeah, keep an eye out for posts there. Other than that, I don't think there's anything, unless you would like to add something before we leave.
I would like to go make dinner now. So.
I would also like to go eat dinner. I'm very hungry.
Yeah.
I had a grilled cheese for lunch. I put bacon on it. It was good.
That's unhealthy.
It is. But there was.
I have a metric ass ton of chili left, so.
Ooh, I do like chili. Yeah.
I made a whole thing of it, and it's 8 servings, so I have about 5 left.
All right. Well, let's go eat your chili, Brian. I'll go. I don't know what I'm gonna do for dinner. I'll figure something out.
Okay.
But yeah, without further ado, that's been Talking Toku. I am David.
I'm Brian.
We'll see you guys next time.
See you tomorrow.
Okay.
You'll see me.
Oh,
for sure.
Everyone listening will see. Brian will appear in your home like an apparition, tell you to listen to Talking Toku, and then disappear like a ghost.
Yep. As soon as he appeared, he disappeared.
He'll be like, "Listen to Talking Toku," and then he'll disappear, never to be seen again.
Yep.
All right, goodbye.
All right, bye.